There's a new enlightened centrist hot take, which is, okay, Biden's doing well on vaccinations now, but it's all built on the system that Donald Trump and his administration built. And that couldn't be further from the truth. There's a good article in Talking Points memo by Kate Riga and Josh Kovensky, which says, the Washington Post is doing this. The New York Times is doing this. They're saying that the speed up we are seeing now builds on the Trump plan, and it is simply wrong. Kate and Josh do a deep dive into what was actually happening in the Trump administration during the last few months. And in fact, it's stunning at how well Joe Biden has been able to expand vaccination despite Donald Trump's actions. There was no plan left behind. Biden and his team had to build the plan from day one for how to get the vaccines once they were dumped at states to places that are actually vaccinating, established vaccination sites and the like. Even when given the opportunity on supply, Joe Biden has had to fix the problems that Donald Trump left behind, including Trump famously turning down 100 million doses of Pfizer back in July of 2020, maybe because Pfizer wasn't participating in Operation Warp Speed. That left Joe Biden to figure out, how can we actually get enough vaccines for people? And now we will have enough vaccines where on May 1st, we will be opening eligibility to everybody 18 plus in the United States. Every aspect of what Donald Trump did was counterproductive, other than what we could say. Here's the praise we could give of Donald Trump. Beyond all the things he did to stifle us having enough vaccines and reduce interest in vaccination, Trump didn't actively deny funding to companies developing vaccines. And that's barely praise. And I know that one of the things you heard, there were two things that were repeatedly mentioned during the Trump era that Trump was doing. One is he's funding vaccine research. Just about every country was funding vaccine research in the middle of a global pandemic. What government wouldn't fund research to some degree? To say that Trump deserves praise for that, if he didn't do it, it would have been criminal. Now, many of the companies researching vaccines didn't take the money, or they didn't need the money. But to say Trump funded stuff, I mean, listen, the government funds endless things. And to say that's why he gets credit is very low. Now, the other thing is, Trump tells the story of how they came to me. They said, sir, let's fund manufacture of vaccines even before we know these vaccines are going to be effective and the ones to use. This has been widely done across the world for decades. When you have an urgent situation and you have a vaccine or a medication that looks like it will work, but it's still being tested, you don't want to waste time. You want doses ready to go if and when it gets approved. So what you do is you manufacture vaccines on spec. You start manufacturing a bunch of different candidates so that if they get approved, you already have some doses. Trump did fund that. I guess he gets credit for that. Now, what about on the other side? What did he do to hurt the vaccine effort? Well, number one, when you say it's not serious for a year and that it's being exaggerated by the left and that all aspects of this are to take away your freedom and all of this stuff, that reduces people's interest in getting vaccinated. Because why would I get vaccinated for something my dear leader Trump has been telling me isn't serious for a year? Number two, Trump's own vaccination happened while he was still in office in secret, and we only learned about it in the last week or so because it leaked. That is not something you do if you're trying to get more people interested in getting the vaccine. Number three, Trump declined doses when they were offered by Pfizer in July of 2020, as I mentioned. Again, maybe mad because they weren't part of Operation Warp Speed. And it left us with a need for Joe Biden to figure out where to get more doses. So I'm sorry, guys. Trump doesn't deserve credit for vaccines. Trump was, to some degree, just not a factor in that he allowed money to go towards some vaccine research and did some things that decreased interest in the vaccine and handed off no plan to Joe Biden. He could have more aggressively hurt the cause, but Trump doesn't deserve credit for these vaccines. And what we are seeing now in terms of the rollout and the expansion was a plan that Joe Biden started building in December, knowing what he was coming into And Joe Biden has not. Joe Biden, there's lots of things he doesn't deserve praise for right now, which I've criticized him for. This is Joe Biden's thing. He put in place a parallel coronavirus task force back in December. They started figuring this out. When they took over, there was no plan. They built the plan. They secured doses from J&J. They got additional doses lined up from Moderna, from Pfizer. This really is Biden's thing. And it seems pretty clear that voters realize that. But for some reason, Dr. Anthony Fauci is baffled by what's going on. And I want to talk about that next. One of our sponsors is privacy.com. They're giving you $5 when you sign up for their completely free service at privacy.com/Pakman. I've been using Privacy for a little over a year now. You've heard me talk about it before. It's a lifesaver. And here's how it works. Takes just a couple of minutes to set up. Anytime you buy something online or on the phone, instead of actually using your real credit card number, the Privacy app and the browser plugin let you give each company a randomized virtual credit card number that you create out of thin air. It'll even autofill the card number with one click. And the payment is taken out of your checking account without the merchant ever knowing your real information. So this allows you to keep your banking information secure, but also to take control of your finances. You can create up to 12 of these virtual credit cards a month. You can set spending limits. You can freeze them. You can delete them anytime you want. So when you do this, it means you're not going to be charged when you don't want to be, because you can destroy the virtual card number right after using it, which, for instance, I love using free trials because I know I won't be charged when the trial is over if I use a virtual credit card number. You're keeping your identity private by not telling companies who you are. You're keeping your bank or credit card info protected against data breaches and identity theft. And it's free. And like I said, you'll get $5 to spend when you sign up at privacy.com/Pakman.